Is this a good shirt to wear?
I like it. It's cute.
Okay, I'll stick with it. Hello, welcome back to our channel. It's just me today. I'm going to be telling you a story of my labor and how it all went. It was a hard experience, and it was very difficult, but I got through it by the grace of God. It was very short. I was not expecting that at all. My mom was in labor with me for about 21 hours, I think, and my sister had her labor at 18 hours, so I wasn't expecting anything less than that. But on Friday morning, on September 9th, which that was always a date in my head, I don't know why, but it was just always, that was the day I was going into labor. And I told people that, and they're like, oh my goodness, your due date is the 5th, or not the 5th, it was the September 3rd. That was my official due date. But I had told everybody the 9th, and they were like, oh, you're crazy, it'll go before that. Anyway, so Friday morning, I was 41 weeks, one day away from being 41 weeks. And so we went in for my final appointment. We went in the morning, and Titus took off work so that we could go. And I went in and I decided to do a membrane sweep just to kind of get things moving. My membrane sweep was very, very painful and a lot of pressure. I'm sure if anyone has ever gotten them, they know what I'm talking about. It was not a very pleasant experience, but I'm glad I did do it. I think it helped with the labor. It was already gonna go. Like when I had the ultrasound at the appointment, there was a lot of vernix floating in my fluid, and so they said it'll be any day now. So I think the labor would have happened either way, but it did definitely speed it up. When we went in for my appointment, I was already dilated by 3 centimeters and about 75% effaced. That was a sure sign that labor was really close. So anyway, after the appointment, we had lunch in the park and we went for a walk for like an hour. We had packed up the car beforehand, and I was just planning to stay near the hospital because it was about an hour from our house. So then we walked around for a while and we went shopping and we got coffees, but nothing was happening. And we ended up forgetting a few things anyway, so we were like, let's just go back home, spend the afternoon just relaxing and resting, and see what happens and go from there. So we ended up going home, and we got back at 4-ish, I think, and I had a burst of energy and I decided to clean my entire house. And then by that time it was 8 o'clock, and Titus was like, I want to go game with my buddy before baby comes. And I was like, okay, it's a Friday night, we have nothing going on the next morning, I don't care. So anyway, we went over to their house, and luckily his wife was sleeping, so I just cuddled up on the beanbag that was in their office where they were gaming, and I just fell asleep for the entire time that they were gaming, which was probably one of the best sleeps of my entire pregnancy, and was amazing. So they gamed, and then I think at 1:30ish, Titus woke me up and he was like, okay, let's go home. So we went home, and on the way home I think I had a contraction, but I was like, is it really a contraction? I don't know. It was so faint, and I was like, I don't know what one feels like. It could be, couldn't be it. And so we get inside, and then I definitely had a real contraction on the way inside, and I was like, that's a contraction. So but I still wasn't worried. I was like, okay, that's a contraction, okay, it'll probably be not anything happening until tomorrow morning. So anyway, I went to bed, and I went to go get an ice pack, and I heated the ice pack up in the microwave, and while I was standing there waiting for it to warm up, I felt this weird popping sensation, but I was like, oh, it's probably just the baby moving, I can feel her, and that's probably what it is. But then I had extra fluid come out, and I was like, that could be my water, but I still wasn't sure. But then the contraction started picking up, and I was like, oh, that was probably my water. But it was so little that I was like, I still don't exactly know. Anyway, so I was going to go to bed. I put the heat pack on, and I started having a few more contractions, but nothing consistent, and I wasn't even counting them or timing them or anything. Anyway, so I decided to go to bed, and I was just gonna sleep. And after I don't know, 20 minutes, these contractions were getting decently intense, and I was like, I can't really sleep through these. So I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower and see if that helps calm things down. Meanwhile, I told Titus, I was like, you better get some sleep, because If this is going down tonight, you need to have your energy. So anyway, I hopped in the shower, and at this point I was timing them, and the furthest apart they were was like 3 minutes. I was like, that seems awfully fast, but it'll probably like simmer down. So I hopped in the shower. It definitely helped, but I was still like having to like start to breathe through all of them. And an hour passes, and I get out of the shower, and I was at 2.5 minutes apart, and I was like, I don't know, I think we should go in because they're not lessening, and it's been a whole hour. And so we had just left everything out in the car except for the stuff we needed for that night. So we started gathering up the stuff that we'd forgotten and everything we had taken out of the car, and we put it out in the car. And at this point I was like needing to pause like every 2 minutes or so in between contractions, and we get all of the stuff out in the car, and we grab any last minute things and we head out. And it was probably like 3-ish o'clock in the morning at this point, and we raced down to Eau Claire, which I'm pretty sure was Titus's favorite part because he got to go really fast. Secretly, I was hoping that some police would be out there and we'd get pulled over and we could get an escort to the hospital, but unfortunately that did not happen. There was literally no one out. I think we saw maybe 9 cars in the whole hour drive. And we get into town, and there's like a series of like 5 stoplights, and all of them were green. We just like cruised right on through. And we get to the hospital at like 3:40ish, which if you live in this area and you know how long that takes, it's not usually 40 minutes. Well, it's usually about 45 minutes that it takes, but it took us less. So anyway, we get to the hospital, and by this time in the car, we'd forgotten to take any towels, or like didn't even think about that, but the rest of my water broke in the car, so that was very lovely. So anyway, we get out of the car at the hospital, and they put me in the wheelchair, and so I just went to go park the car, and then we got wheeled into my room, and this is really blurry, I don't really remember a lot of it, but they were taking my vitals and putting like the little wristbands on and just doing the things you have to do when you check into a hospital. And they told me that my water had meconium in it, which means that the baby pooped. So they were a little bit worried about just letting me do the water birth that I wanted. But I was like, I don't care if I can give birth in the water, I just want to get in the tub because I just need some relief. So as soon as they got me checked in and the bathtub filled, I was pretty much in there, which I think put me at like almost 4 o'clock. And it was such a relief to get in that tub. And the water was actually surprisingly hot, which I was not complaining because if you know me, I love my hot showers. So anyway, I got in the tub, and then they wanted to test me for a few things, which in my brain, I was just so out of it that I was like, I don't want a needle. Like, I hate needles, and I hate having my blood drawn for anything. And to me, that was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, maybe I just want to get out of the tub instead. But anyway, they gave me a few minutes to like make up my mind, and then I think in the moment I didn't even like think through this, which beforehand I was like, oh, definitely, I'll definitely know when I'm like in transition. Which when I got checked in, I was 100% effaced and only like 4 centimeters dilated. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be here for forever. And I was trying not to be like let down by like only 4 centimeters, but I was like, I'm all the way effaced, like I'm ready to go as soon as I dilate. So anyway, I got in the tub, and I was sitting there, and then I hit transition. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I told Titus, I was like, I want an epidural, and he was like, no, you don't want an epidural, like trying to talk me out of it. And I was like, well, then I need something because this is not working. Like, I wasn't even able to catch my breath in between, and it was just overwhelming. So the nurse comes over, and she said, we have other options other than just an epidural. So they gave me I don't even know what it's called, but just like a shot, but it wasn't like, it was an IV, but it was only like a short one in your arm. So that took the edge off of it. I think they gave me like a quarter of it, and it like instantly worked. And it was such a relieving feeling. It didn't take away the intenseness of it, but it just gave me like, my body was able to relax in between it. And then while they were doing that, because that was a needle, I was like, just do the blood thing right with that. So they did that, worked out really well. So I was actually able to stay in the tub for the entire time, which I was so grateful for. And this, I think, was at like fast forward to like 6 o'clock, I started having the urge to push, which then they checked me and I was like totally ready to go. And I was like so amazed that it was so fast. But anyway, so I started pushing, and I pushed for probably off and on, like not the whole time, but till like 6:30, and then they started getting really consistent. And I thought everybody else could see what was going on, like when she started crowning and stuff. And apparently they could not, because all of a sudden, like, I started pushing and her head comes out, and then I push again and her shoulders and arms come out. And so she was like literally just in by her hips. And I was like, somebody come pull this child out. I am done pushing. I cannot push any longer. And they're like, oh honey, you have to push. Like, we can't do this for you. Like, this is all you. Like, you just gotta do it. And I was like, no. And I just like reached down, which then Titus saw that there was an arm, and like all the nurses freaked out, because they're like, if there's just an arm, we have major trouble here. But, and then the nurses, like, because my midwife was out of the room at that point, and she ran over to the wall and like pulled that cord that they always have there, and all the nurses come running in. And by that time I just like reached down and like pulled her out, because I'm like, I'm not pushing one more time. And so they helped me put her up on my chest, and like it was such a relieving moment, because like I was like, it's over, no more pain. Like although somebody told me that there's no pain after that, but they were wrong, because there was definitely a lot of pain after that still. But anyway, they got me out of the tub, put me on the bed, and I delivered the placenta almost right away. And then Titus got to cut the cord, which was very special. And I don't remember too much after that, but then they did like the massaging of my stomach, which, let me tell you, that was so painful. I was like screaming in pain because it was so bad. They did give me some, like the gas mask thing, which took the edge off somewhat, but I was still like so much in pain that I hyperventilated into it, almost ended up passing out, but it's all good, I didn't pass out. And then they also gave me that while they stitched me up, so I only tore like a first-degree tear, so it wasn't too bad. And then after about an hour or so, we cuddled, and she fed right away. I breastfed her, and she did phenomenally. And after that, it was like an hour or two later, I got up to use the bathroom and shower, and then it felt so good to take a shower afterwards, because you're just so sweaty. Let me tell you, I've never sweated so bad in my entire life. That was really intense, and Titus has some wonderful photos to remind me of that. The really cool part about her birth is, I didn't even notice this until somebody else brought it up, but she was born on 9/10 at 7:08, so like it's 9/10, 7/8. Sorry, it's 7/8, 9/10. My brain is not working. So that was a really cool part about her birth. And then she was 7 pounds and 3 ounces, and she was 20.5 inches long. So I'd say for like between Titus and I's birth weight and things, she was like right in the middle. It was so fun to see like how she has like both sides of us, and it's so cool to like look at her, because I didn't think that you'd be able to see, like, you can't see like, oh, she looks like Titus or she looks like Fannie, but it's definitely a you can see, oh, that's from the yogurt side or that's from the Schrock side. It's really cool to see the different features, and it changes. Like, she's a month old now, and she's changing every single day. I will say it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. It was awful. But you can do anything for a minute long, and then you have a break, and you can do anything for a short period of time. And that's kind of how I looked at it, was if I can get through the next 60 seconds of my life, I'm okay. So, not to scare anyone, it is totally doable, but it is the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. My advice to any new moms is, when that contraction hits, is just fully relax your body, because you're just letting your body do the work at that point, and you're not, like, if you tense up, it makes the contractions worse, and I experienced both ends of that, and I'm sure most moms have, but it's totally worth it. I don't even know how to describe the moment that she's finally born. You're just like overwhelmed with, I wasn't like so emotional, like I didn't cry at all, like I didn't cry until that night, like the emotions finally like came out, but I was just like in such disbelief and shock that it was like finally happening, because like you're pregnant for 9 months, well, technically 10, and you just like work up to this moment and it's finally here. Like it took that long, but it's finally here. And then the rest of your pregnancy is like, felt like a month. Maybe not everyone's, but mine did, even though it was horrible. But I'm so glad she's here, and it has been an intense month, let me tell you. She tests both of our patients on the daily, because sometimes she just cries and there's nothing you can do except for watch her cry because you've burped her, you've fed her, you changed her, and there's nothing more you can do. I wanted to call my mom afterwards and apologize for being born. But it's another thing I've learned was that I'm thankful for that I didn't have a longer labor. And I'm really sorry to all the moms who do have longer labors, because more power to you, I could not have done that. I don't know how many of you are Christians out there, but if you are Christian, it is the most like God-filled moment ever when you give birth. I don't know how to explain it, but like God is so present in that moment. And like I wanted to even like have people like praying for me, which I did have people praying. I told people when I went into labor to pray for it, and they did. And I truly believe like that's why it went so well, is because it was filled with prayer. And like even though like I wasn't thinking I probably wasn't even thinking the nicest thoughts while I was like in that much pain, but God was still very present. And like it was just so cool to see like how God like had his hand in the birth and how everything went so well and so smoothly. I hope you enjoyed that birth story. I hope it wasn't too graphic for any of you that have not gone through this. That's my story, but everyone's is different. Every baby, every pregnancy is different. It just depends on how it goes, and I hope this was encouragement to you. If you are about to go into it, don't fear it, because fear is not going to help you at all. You just have to... The battery died, but we were back again. And I also wanted to just say, my husband was an amazing person throughout my entire like labor. He got no sleep, but he was a trooper through it all. I just wanted to shout out to him that he was the most amazing support person ever, and I'm so thankful that he was by my side through the whole entire thing. Anyway, I think that concludes the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video. And comment down below if there's anything that helped you get through labors, for any moms out there. Just comment down below and tell me what got you through your labor. Or if you're a new mom and you have not given birth yet, comment down below what's something that you are really nervous about or really excited about. Just let us know in the comments, because I'm really excited to read all of them. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye. That was weird. Don't add that. Just leave the wonderful day in there.